I sold the family vacation home without consulting my siblings after discovering they've been renting it out and keeping all the money while I paid for all maintenance and taxes for years. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd sell a family heirloom without consulting my siblings. Growing up, our parents taught us that family meant everything, that we should always stick together, trust each other, and work things out. But life has a way of teaching you that sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people you trust the most. I'm Michael, a 42-year-old accountant from Massachusetts. Numbers have always been my language, precise, honest, unchanging. Maybe that's why I found myself being the responsible one, the one who always balanced the books and made sure everything added up. Our parents recognized this trait early on, and it became a running joke in the family. Ask Michael, he'll know if we can afford it. The beach house in Maine was more than just a vacation property. It was a 3-story Victorian masterpiece, painted a fading seafoam green with white trim, sitting on 2 acres of prime beachfront land in Kennebunkport. My grandfather bought it in 1962 for what would now be considered pocket change, and it had been our family's gathering place ever since. Every major holiday, every celebration, every family crisis, that house saw it all. When our parents passed away 5 years ago, Mom from cancer, and Dad following just 3 months later, the doctors called it heart failure, but we all knew it was heartbreak. They left the house to all 4 of us siblings. The will was clear: equal ownership, equal responsibility, equal benefits. There's Mark, my older brother, 45, the successful one in Boston running his own marketing firm. He always had that natural charisma that made people want to follow his lead, even when they shouldn't. Sarah, 39, the free spirit who turned her art hobby into a moderately successful gallery in Portland. And Rachel, 37, the youngest, a high school counselor who everybody always said inherited Mom's empathy and Dad's patience. The initial meeting about the house was in the very living room we were discussing. I can still picture it: the worn leather armchairs, the stone fireplace with our childhood heights marked on the mantel, the view of the Atlantic through the bay windows. We sat there, 4 adults who suddenly felt like orphaned children, trying to figure out how to preserve our parents' legacy. I think Michael should handle the finances, Mark had said, his perfect smile gleaming. He's the numbers guy, after all. Everyone agreed readily. Why wouldn't they? I had the expertise, the organized mind, the dedication to detail. We laid out a simple plan. I would manage the property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs. Any rental income would be split 4 ways, after expenses. We even shook hands on it, like kids making a solemn playground pact. The first year was rough but manageable. The property taxes came to $8,000, insurance another $3,000, and various maintenance issues, a leaky roof, an aging water heater, landscaping, added up to about $4,000. I sent quarterly emails detailing every expense, complete with scanned receipts and spreadsheets. My siblings would respond with thumbs up emojis or quick, "Thanks, bro" messages. The rental situation seemed disappointing but understandable. The economy's still recovering, Sarah would say during our monthly family dinners. People just aren't taking expensive vacations anymore. Rachel would chime in, plus, the house needs some updating. Nobody wants to pay premium rates for outdated bathrooms. Mark, ever the marketer, would promise to leverage his connections to find more renters, but somehow it never materialized. I dipped into my savings, telling myself it was temporary. My wife, Jessica, started questioning the arrangement in our private moments. "It doesn't seem fair," she'd say, watching me pay another property tax bill. "Your siblings should be contributing something." But I'd defend them: they're all going through their own struggles. Mark's firm is still growing, Sarah's gallery is seasonal, and Rachel's on a teacher's salary. The second year followed the same pattern. Then the third. I started scaling back my own family's vacations. My daughter Emma's tennis lessons got cut. My son Jack's summer camp became a day program instead of overnight. Small sacrifices, I told myself, to keep our parents' dream alive. The truth started unraveling on a random Tuesday evening in March. I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, procrastinating on some client tax returns, when I saw the post that changed everything. "Living my best life at the most amazing beach house in Maine, Ocean Wave, thanks at Sarah the artist for hooking us up with your family's gorgeous Airbnb. Third stay this year and it never disappoints. #luxury vacation #beach life #Maine, escape." The post was from Melissa Chen, one of Sarah's art gallery clients. It showed her and her friends lounging on our back deck, champagne glasses in hand, the sunset painting the sky behind them. The date stamp showed it was from the previous weekend. My hands started shaking. Third stay this year? It was only March. I clicked through to her profile, scrolling back through her posts. There were more, so many more. Photos of Christmas celebrations, New Year's parties, autumn weekends. All at our house. All tagged as an Airbnb. I opened Airbnb and searched Kennebunkport. It took less than a minute to find it. Historic oceanfront Victorian, perfect for family gatherings. The listing was managed by Rachel H., my baby sister. The calendar showed it was booked solid for the upcoming summer season, with a few scattered weekends available at $600 per night. The reviews went back years. Years. People praising the attentive hosts, the immaculate housekeeping, the perfect family getaway. One review mentioned how Sarah's art adds the perfect touch to every room. She'd been selling her paintings to guests. Another thanked Mark for his local restaurant recommendations and business connections. I spent the next 4 hours going through every review, every booking, every detail. Using my accounting software, I estimated they had made over $150,000 in rental income over the past 3 years. During which time I had paid out nearly $45,000 in expenses. Jessica found me at 2 a.m., still at my desk, surrounded by printouts and calculations. "Mike? What are you doing up so?" She stopped when she saw my face. I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost. In a way, I had, the ghost of who I thought my siblings were. I showed her everything. The listings, the reviews, the numbers. She didn't say I told you so. She just held my hand and asked, "What are you going to do?" I waited until morning to send the group text. "Can someone explain why I'm just now finding out about the Airbnb business you've been running with the beach house? The one I've been paying all the expenses for?" The responses came quickly. Mark, "Oh boy. Sarah, it's not what you think. Rachel, can we talk about this in person?" I replied with screenshots. Dozens of them. Reviews, bookings, income estimates. Mark switched to damage control mode. "Look, we were going to bring you in on it. We just needed to get the business established first." Sarah tried emotional manipulation. "We thought you'd be upset about us commercializing Mom and Dad's house. You're always so traditional about family stuff." Rachel, true to form, played peacemaker. "We should all meet and discuss this calmly. Like family." I surprised them, and myself, by agreeing to meet. But not at the beach house. I couldn't face those walls yet. We met at a coffee shop in Boston, neutral territory. Mark arrived first, dressed in his usual power suit, already launching into a pitch about family business opportunities and untapped potential. Sarah came next, wearing her artistic indignation like a shield. Rachel showed up last, her counselor's face firmly in place. "Before you start," I said, cutting off Mark's practice spiel, "I want you to know that I've already spoken with a lawyer." That stopped them cold. "A lawyer?" Sarah's voice rose. "About what?" I placed a folder on the table. "About fraud, misappropriation of funds, and breach of contract. For the past 3 years, I've paid $45,327 in expenses while you've collected approximately $153,000 in rental income." "That's business," Mark argued. "We saw an opportunity and..." "You saw an opportunity to exploit my trust," I corrected him. "Every time I asked about rentals, you lied. Every time I sent an expense report, you ignored it. Every time I dipped into my savings to maintain our parents' house, you were profiting from it." Rachel tried to reach for my hand. "We can fix this. We can start fresh, split everything fairly from now on." I pulled my hand back. "No, we can't. Because this isn't just about money. This is about trust. About family. About the values Mom and Dad taught us." "So what do you want?" Mark asked, his marketing mask slipping to reveal genuine worry. "I want to sell the house." The explosion was immediate. Sarah started crying about family heritage. Mark launched into legal threats. Rachel begged for compromise. But I had done my homework. My lawyer had already reviewed everything. Years of documented expenses, proof of their deception, evidence of their rental income. In Maine, my position was legally strong. I listed the house the next day with a high-end realtor who specialized in luxury beachfront properties. I also filed legal notices to freeze the Airbnb account and any rental proceeds. The sale moved faster than anyone expected. A tech entrepreneur from Boston fell in love with the property and offered well above asking price, in cash. The irony? He had stayed there twice through Airbnb and had always dreamed of owning it. My siblings' reactions varied but intensified. Mark threatened lawsuits but backed down when my lawyer presented our documentation. Sarah posted a series of increasingly dramatic social media rants about family betrayal, conveniently leaving out their years of deception. Rachel cycled between angry texts and tearful voicemails. Extended family took sides. Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister, called to tell me I was tearing the family apart. Uncle James, Dad's brother, quietly told me he'd suspected something was wrong for years but hadn't known how to bring it up. The day I signed the final sale papers, I took one last walk through the house. Every room held memories: the kitchen where Mom taught us all to bake, the dining room where Dad would tell his terrible jokes, the bedrooms where we'd whisper secrets late into the night. But those memories weren't in the walls or the floors, they were in us, and we had already damaged them beyond repair. The proceeds from the sale went into an escrow account pending legal resolution. My lawyer is confident about the outcome, given the documentation we have. But the real cost isn't measured in dollars. My daughter Emma, 15, asked me last week why we don't see her cousins anymore. Jack, 13, stopped asking if we can go to the beach house this summer. Family gatherings have become diplomatic negotiations about who can attend without creating drama. Yesterday, I received a small package in the mail. Inside was a framed photo of the four of us as children, sitting on the beach house steps with Mom and Dad. On the back, in Rachel's handwriting, "Remember when things were simple?" I do remember. But I also remember what Dad always said: trust, once broken, is like a shattered mirror. You can put it back together, but you'll always see the cracks. The beach house is gone now, sold to someone who will make new memories within its walls. The money will eventually be distributed, the legal issues resolved. But the real inheritance, the trust, love, and unity our parents tried to leave us, that's been spent already, squandered on greed and deception. Some nights, I still question my decision. But then I look at the spreadsheets, the documented lies, the years of taking advantage of my trust, and I know I did what I had to do. Sometimes being fair to yourself means being willing to be seen as the villain in someone else's story. I've started looking at small vacation properties on Cape Cod, something just for my immediate family. Jessica thinks it's too soon, but I disagree. Life is too short to let past betrayals prevent future joy. Maybe that's the final lesson in all of this: family isn't defined by shared blood or shared property, but by shared trust. And when that trust is gone, sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and for everyone else, is to simply let go and walk away. The new owners sent me a Christmas card last month. The house looks beautiful with their holiday decorations, their children playing in the snow on the same beach where we once played. It hurt to look at, but somehow it also felt right. That chapter of our family's story is closed now, and it's time to write a new one where trust isn't something to be exploited, but cherished and protected. After all, that's what Mom and Dad would have really wanted. Update, 6 months later. It's funny how time doesn't heal all wounds, sometimes it just gives them room to fester. 6 months after selling the beach house, the ripple effects continue to spread through our family like cracks in thin ice. Last week, my daughter Emma had her sweet 16 party. The event that should have been a full family celebration became an exercise in diplomatic maneuvering. My sister Sarah's daughter, Emily, who's been Emma's best friend since they were toddlers, wasn't there. Sarah had texted that Emily was sick, but Instagram told the real story: she was at a beach party with friends that same afternoon. The legal proceedings finally concluded last month. My documentation proved invaluable, and the judge's decision was clear: I was entitled to all expenses paid plus interest, and the remaining proceeds would be split 4 ways. Mark didn't show up for the final hearing. Sarah sat in the back, sketching angry portraits in her notebook. Rachel cried silently through the whole thing. The financial resolution should have felt like victory. Instead, it just emphasized everything we'd lost. The money hit our accounts on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, I had 3 separate emails. From Mark: congratulations on destroying Dad's dream. Hope you're proud of yourself. Don't bother coming to Thanksgiving. From Sarah: I'm using my share to open a second gallery. At least some of us still know how to build things instead of tearing them apart. From Rachel: can we talk? Please. I've been seeing a family therapist, and she thinks we could work through this. I didn't respond to any of them. What was there left to say? The money did bring some positive changes. Jessica and I paid off our mortgage. We set up proper college funds for the kids. I even took my first real vacation in years, 2 weeks in Florida, just the 4 of us, making new memories on a different beach. But family events have become a minefield. Cousin Amy's wedding last month split the family into carefully separated tables. Uncle James' 70th birthday party had to be held twice, one celebration for my side, another for my siblings. Mom would have hated seeing us like this. The new owners of the beach house, Tom and Linda Chen, sent us an unexpected invitation last week. They're hosting a neighborhood barbecue and wanted us all to come, saying they'd love to hear more stories about the house's history. The invitation went to all 4 of us siblings. I think they don't know the full story, just sense there's some tension. I haven't responded yet. My wife found me looking at old family photos last night. There's one from 1992, all 4 of us kids on the beach house porch, covered in sand and ice cream, grinning like we own the world. She asked if I regretted my decision. No, I said, I regret that it was necessary. The truth is, selling the house wasn't just about the money they stole or the trust they betrayed. It was about finally accepting that the family we were in those old photos doesn't exist anymore. We've all changed. Maybe we were never really who we thought we were. Mark's marketing firm is struggling now. Turns out a lot of his success was built on similar schemes, taking advantage of trust, cutting corners, betraying confidences. Word gets around in Boston's business community. He's had to downsize his office and lay off half his staff. Sarah's art has taken a darker turn. Her latest gallery show was titled Blood Ties, All Broken Houses and Fractured Landscapes. Critics called it powerfully emotional. Nobody mentioned that the centerpiece was clearly our beach house, burning against a storm-dark sky. Rachel, true to her counselor nature, has been trying to rebuild bridges. She sends birthday cards to my kids. She emails articles about family reconciliation. Last month, she left a voicemail that was just her crying for 3 minutes. I saved it but haven't listened to it again. My lawyer suggests I consider writing a book about the experience. There are lessons here about family business, trust, and conflict resolution, she says. Maybe she's right. Or maybe some stories are better left in the past. Jessica and I did end up buying that small place on Cape Cod. Nothing fancy, just a little 3-bedroom cottage with a deck facing the water. Last weekend, we had our first family gathering there. Jack invited his best friend, Emma brought her boyfriend, that's still taking some getting used to, and we grilled burgers while watching the sunset. It was nice. Different, but nice. No ghosts of past betrayals haunting the corners. No memories competing with reality. Just us, making something new. Yesterday, I drove past our old family home in Boston, where we all grew up before Mom and Dad moved to the beach house. There's a young family living there now. Through the window, I could see children's artwork taped to the walls, bikes in the driveway, a dog sleeping on the porch. Life goes on. Places change hands. Families evolve, or dissolve. I got another email from Rachel this morning. She's getting married next spring. I know things are still hard, she wrote, but you're my big brother. It won't feel right without you there. I haven't decided if I'll go. Part of me wants to believe in the possibility of redemption, of rebuilding what we've lost. Another part remembers the years of lies, the casual betrayal, the way they all dismissed my contributions while profiting from my trust. Maybe that's the real legacy of the beach house saga, learning that sometimes there are no clear answers, no perfect solutions. Sometimes you have to choose between preserving a comforting illusion and facing an uncomfortable truth. The funny thing is, I drive by the beach house sometimes when I'm in Maine for business. The Kins have painted it a warm gray with white trim. They've added a vegetable garden where Mom's roses used to be. Their kids' bikes lie scattered on the lawn, much like ours once did. The house looks happy. Loved. Maybe that's what matters most in the end. Last night, Emma asked me to tell her stories about when we were kids at the beach house. Not the end, not the betrayal, but the good times, the summer adventures, the family jokes, the holiday traditions. So I did. Because maybe that's how healing starts, not by forgetting the hurt, but by remembering that there was love once, too. I still have that photo Rachel sent, the one of all of us on the steps. I keep it in my desk drawer at work. Not displayed, I'm not ready for that yet, but not thrown away either. Because despite everything, it's still part of our story. And maybe someday, when the pain has dulled and the anger has faded, it will remind us not of what we lost, but of what we could be again. Until then, I'll be here on Cape Cod, building new memories with the family that still knows how to trust, still knows how to love without keeping score. Because in the end, that's what Mom and Dad really wanted to leave us, not a house, not an inheritance, but the understanding that family is something you build, choice by choice, day by day, trust by trust. And sometimes, rebuilding has to start with walking away.